Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to NoDQ&A live here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. We have a lot to talk about today, a lot to discuss. We are less than 24 hours removed from the Super Showdown pay-per-view. Quite possibly the worst WWE pay-per-view of all time. And that's really saying something. Like, I was thinking about it all night. Was this show as bad as December to Dismember 2006? Was it as bad as the 1995 King of the Ring? I think the wrestling wasn't the worst on the show, for the most part. But the booking and just the overall presentation, the vibe, everything about it, when you put it all together, this might have very well been the very worst WWE pay-per-view they ever produced. I have your questions today. I have questions from twitter.com/AaronRift. You can submit questions there. Please use the hashtag PAIV or NoDQVideo. You can also send me super chats. I will answer any super chat questions that you have. And of course, I will be answering questions via Skype. You can call in nodqrift@gmail.com. However, if you have never called in before, I do have a request that you email me first, nodqrift@gmail.com. Give me your Skype info, your YouTube account. It's just a little bit of extra security to prevent people from spamming/trolling. Colin Andrew is our first caller, so let's answer this call. Colin, how's it going?
Brother Aaron, how we doing today?
I'm doing very well, all things considered. So what's on your mind?
Well, I'm just getting ready to leave for work here in a couple minutes, so I just figured I'd give a quick call in. Super Showdown, man. I watched the first half of it before I went to work yesterday, and then I came home and finished the second half. Yes, I saw what happened. You know, I was live there on your Twitter feed, you know, getting all my updates as always, but I wanted to see it for myself. I was actually not very disappointed in the card until the main event. Right. You know, it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be through the whole card, but I knew as soon as you posted back in May on NoDQ.com about the headliner for this, Taker versus Goldberg, I made a tweet that day. 8-year-old me screaming, 31-year-old me, not so much. I was so let down with that match. I mean, it's probably not Taker's worst match. There's the Giant Gonzalez WrestleMania 9 deal.
Fair point.
But, man, those two guys I think they just kind of really crapped on themselves on that one. Goldberg kind of knocked himself out, it looked like, with the spear. And I was just very disappointed in that. You know, it could have been so much more, I feel. And it was what it was. We can't do anything about it. But, man, I'm glad that I didn't pay $50 to watch this show. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That would not have been a fun experience. I feel like up until the end of the show, it was just pretty boring, but not like anything out of the norm terrible. Like I said, I feel like it's a combination of everything. It's not just the match quality. It's the overall presentation of the show, the vibe that it had, just everything when you put it together just really left a bad taste in my mouth overall. And it was just, for me, a depressing show to watch, and I wasn't really getting entertainment value from it. And the whole point of WWE is to put smiles on people's faces. And I was just feeling depressed when it was over, if anything, and I'm not sure that's the intention.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I mean, I will say I think it was better than Raw, if that means anything. But
well, I would hope so, since it's a so-called pay-per-view that's the equivalent or exceeding WrestleMania.
Yeah, quote unquote. Yeah, I just hope next time, you know, because we know there's going to be more Saudi Arabia shows. I just hope next time they give a little better build and, you know, just don't throw it together. If you know this is going to happen, you have a deal with these people for like 10 years. You know these shows are going to happen. Put some time into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like they
put
got
put a little time and effort into it. Build your storylines on Raw and SmackDown a little bit more, and treat this like you would any other pay-per-view if you're going to do it. If
right.
not, just don't do it.
Well, the thing is, they're getting paid so much money, and I'm sure Saudi Arabia was happy with the show. Like, you saw that pop for Mansoor winning that Battle Royal. Like, they went nuts for that. So they're happy. They got to see the big stars. They got to see Goldberg and Undertaker, Triple H, Randy Orton. They're happy. They're satisfied. And to WWE, that's all that matters. For us, this wasn't about us, like anybody outside of Saudi Arabia. I think a lot of people in the chat room made some good points here. Like, this show was for Saudi Arabia and that country, not for us.
Yeah.
They just threw it on the network for us to watch, but it's not really a show for the rest of the world. It's for that country specifically. And if the country's happy, they're paying the bills, then more power to WWE. They're going to just keep doing what they're doing. It sucks for everybody else watching this pretty much. And we got 8 more years of this.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the call, Colin. Any plugs, anything you'd like to promote?
Yeah, real quick, you can find me on Twitter at Colin26Ander. You can find my YouTube page, Colin Ander, that's COLIN, space ANDREW. You can keep supporting NoDQ.com. Support Stephen and Jerry at Aftermatch and all the awesome things they do for What's NXT. Noah, Cindy, rest of the NXT team. Shout out to you guys, and the rest of the NoDQ team. Shout out to you guys.
Thank you so much for the call. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Thanks, sir.
All right, take care. Bye. Bye. All right, let me get to some questions here. So Tim sent in a $10 super chat last night, and I don't think I elaborated on this question. He asked about if Undertaker is being misused going up against guys like Goldberg instead of younger talents like AJ Styles, Demon Balor, Rollins, and so forth. I don't think Undertaker should be wrestling. I think he should be retiring. And yeah, maybe he could have some better matches with younger guys like AJ Styles and Finn Balor, Seth Rollins. But quite frankly, I think it's time to call it a career. I think it's time for Undertaker to move on. And, I don't want to be seeing 60-year-old Undertaker versus the next generation of guys, just like I don't want to see Undertaker against the current generation of guys. I know, on paper it sounds cool, I mean, Finn Balor, Demon Balor versus Undertaker sounds cool, but I think it's too little too late. Just like Goldberg and Undertaker, 15 years too late. I think the Balor match is at the least a couple of years too late. Like, maybe you could have done this in 2015, 2016, but sometimes things just are not meant to be, and the timing just isn't there, and you cannot force it to work. If it's going to work, it's going to work if the timing's right, if it's done organically. You can't just force it and say, oh, we're going to throw Undertaker out there against Finn Balor. Why not? It doesn't feel right. You got to do it when the time is right, and the time is not right. It's time for Undertaker to call it a career. And I got this question here from Mr. Yuck. He says, Eli Drake is set to be a free agent now. Are there any more indie stars that you know of that have not already signed with WWE, whom the company might try to pick up before AEW does? And how long before Impact shuts down? Well, I always have this answer for Impact. They're probably never going to close. I feel like they're going to outlive us all. That's always my answer. Now, of course, realistically, they might shut down a year from now. They might shut down 5 years from now. They might shut down 20 years from now. But they've managed to survive. Impact, through everything that they've been through, they've been able to survive on a shoestring budget, as they say. As far as Eli Drake goes, I think he would be a good fit for WWE. He's a great talker, but then again, EC3 was a pretty solid talker, and look where he's at now. I could definitely see Eli Drake being in a good position because he does have a good look. He can talk. I would think that both AEW and WWE would be interested in him, and that's one of the great things about competition is now somebody like Eli Drake has some momentum and leverage. He can play the two sides and he can get a better deal for himself. So I hope he ends up in one of the companies, and I hope he gets the best deal possible. And as far as other talents, I mean, what do you guys think in the chat room? A talent that is not signed to any major promotion right now, who do you think could be the hottest commodity 6 months to a year down the line? Leave a comment in the chat room and let me know. Cindy sent in a $5 super chat here. And of course, the big one is CM Punk. I'll get to Cindy's super chat in a second here. Ryan says CM Punk. Yeah, I mean, that's the big one. That's like the elephant in the room is CM Punk. Like, if somebody could pick up him, that's obviously huge. Curtis Butler says Austin Theory. I'm not familiar with him at all. So Cindy, let's get to Cindy's super chat. She says, do you think Chris Jericho will win the IWGP Heavyweight at Dominion against Okada? And P.S. proud of you for speaking out about WWE working with Saudi Arabia. Well, thank you for that, Cindy. I appreciate it. And I apologize for not getting to your voice messages. I just had a hectic evening last night, and I was actually driving while you were sending those messages, so I didn't have the opportunity to look at them. I don't know about Jericho. See, New Japan and AEW do not have a working relationship right now. And I feel like Jericho is a part-timer, but then again, it seems like New Japan likes to push Jericho and the United States talents. So I would not rule anything out at this point, but didn't the title just recently change hands? Like, I haven't been following New Japan all that much, but I'm feeling like the title just changed hands not that long ago, and I think you need to keep it on one person for a while. Now, since Jericho, he is doing AEW, and he's going to be dedicating even more time to AEW pretty soon with the TV deal. Yeah, he could be like a short-term champion, but I would lean towards no, but anything's possible. Getting back here to the other questions, Victor Cortez 94, They See Me Rollins, sent in this question. Will Renee Young get punished because of Jon Moxley's comments on Chris Jericho's podcast? Probably not. Like, I don't see what WWE would gain by doing that, especially when they're such a PR company at this point. Like, the company really relies on good publicity. And if WWE punished her and that got out, it would not make the company look good. You punish the wife of the guy that left your company and went to the competition. Just not a good look for WWE. So I'm going to say they probably will not punish her. And if anything, they will probably try to do everything in their power to keep her. Like, Moxley leaving WWE, I actually think is great for Renee Young, because now I feel like she has some leverage of her own. When her contract expires, she has the opportunity now to negotiate, because AEW could want her services. She might want to go work with her husband. WWE is going to make her a big offer to stay. So this is probably a good thing for her, not a bad thing, the fact that Moxley left the company. And yeah, I don't think they're going to punish her. Like, maybe in another era, but now the fact that WWE is so conscious about the publicity, and with the internet, social media, all that stuff, all this information traveling so quickly, I don't think that's going to happen. So there you go. And as a reminder to you guys, I am taking calls today. So if you would like to call in, NoDQRift@gmail.com on Skype. If you've never called in before, please send me an email first with your Skype information and name. You can also send in super chat questions. I will answer as many super chat questions as you would like. If you do call in, please limit yourself to one question. I know it's tempting to ask a lot of questions, but I do want to get to as many people as possible and get through as many questions today as I can. All right, so let's get to the next question, which comes from Joshua Anderson. And he wants to know, why hasn't WWE called up Shayna Baszler? I think it probably has something to do with Ronda Rousey. I feel like the way that Shayna can best be utilized is with Ronda, being paired up with Ronda, doing the MMA horsewomen versus WWE horsewomen, and that all, I guess, has to take into consideration what's going on with Sasha Banks and if she's coming back. But I think Shayna's best shot at success is going to be paired up with Ronda Rousey. Like, I feel like she could very easily get lost in the shuffle if she's just called up. So I think everyone in WWE understands she's best off in NXT right now doing her own thing. Again, going back to earlier, timing is so important in wrestling. I think with Shayna Baszler, the timing is important. I think when Ronda comes back, and I think it's probably when Ronda Rousey comes back to WWE, that is the time to call up Shayna Baszler because she can be Ronda's backup. She can be Ronda's Diesel. If she's Shawn Michaels, Shayna Baszler can be Diesel. I think that that's her best chance at success in WWE, being paired up with Ronda, and that will give her some credibility, and that will help her be in major storylines and not get lost in the shuffle. So yeah, that's what I think. I don't think WWE is going to call her up until Ronda comes back. And when that is, I don't know. But until then, I think Shayna will be good in NXT. And I know there's some concern here that Shayna would be stuck in Ronda's shadow, which is always a possibility with Vince running the show, that she could end up being the person that takes all the pinfalls, to set up Ronda's next match. That's quite possible as well. Yeah, it's an interesting scenario with Shayna Baszler and how she would be utilized, and would Vince let her reach her fullest potential on the main roster. And I got this one here from Cody, from Static Infamy 187 on Twitter. And again, you can also send in questions at twitter.com/Aaron Rift. His question is, with Double or Nothing over and the hype at an all-time high, do you think it was a mistake to have a pay-per-view months before the TV starts? Now there's still a fairly large gap between shows, long enough for AEW to lose momentum. That's an interesting question. I don't think it's a big deal because they do have several pay-per-views coming up. Like, if they weren't doing any shows between now and October, I think that might be a mistake, but they do have Fight for the Fallen, they have the Fyter Fest, and then they have All Out. So they have 3 more big shows until October. And I'm sure we're going to see some big things at those shows. And we have that All Out, which is about a month before they start, and that's going to be their 1-year anniversary since All In. And we could see another big surprise on that show. We could see a few more free agents debut to generate even more buzz. So I don't think it's a big problem. They have a little bit more time now to work out whatever kinks they have. They got 3 more shows to get the production down. And, the first show, I thought production-wise was really solid for a first show. Of course, you're going to have little technical issues, but it was really well done. For an upstart company, they nailed it. It was a very well-produced show. And they only got time now to figure all that out with these next few shows. And yeah, I think 1 show a month, just, you want to have something. I mean, you wouldn't want to go silent for 3 months without a show. But I think the way they're doing it here with 3 more big shows coming up, I think that's fine. And that gives them more time to build up. And plus, I think in a different era, this would have been more risky. But I think now, because of social media, because so many people are on social media, they're following up with everything, and they keep producing these Being the Elite videos, and I'm sure they'll be doing videos for these next pay-per-views. So they're continuing to stay active and keeping people updated and doing storylines and, just building the buzz for October. So yeah, I think it's fine. I don't see it as a big issue. All right, so just so you guys know, Skype is open if anybody would like to call in. And if you got a question regarding Super Showdown, if you have a question regarding AEW, you can call me, NoDQRift@gmail.com. You can also send in questions via Twitter. You can send in questions via Super Chat. And Ryan wants to know, which WWE ladies would I release? I really don't like answering these questions because I feel like I don't want to talk about people losing their jobs. I would release anybody who's unhappy. And I don't know who's unhappy and who's happy. Of course, there's talk out there. Anybody that wants to leave, I would say let them go. Don't hold them hostage. So that's my answer to that question. But I don't have the information regarding who's unhappy or not. Of course, there's this talk that Sasha's unhappy, but who knows what's going on with that. Kayfabe Candy Ass says Billy Kay because she's awful. I mean, the Iconics, they're an interesting team, and I think that if WWE was taking the tag team division seriously, you would want to have the Iconics there. But if you're just going to make the tag titles a joke, you're not going to do anything with them, then what's the point in having them there? So if WWE has no long-term plan for the women's tag team titles, then why even utilize the Iconics? Put somebody else in that role. Give somebody else who's struggling for TV time an opportunity if you're not going to do anything. W Glass 90 says, unpopular opinion, but I like the Iconics. And Steve-O says the Iconics tag team run has been a failure. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, the point was making history, and now they say F it, LOL. And Cindy says, me too, Iconics are the comedy act. I'm not sure if she was saying that she likes the Iconics or thinks that the tag run has been a failure. And Jaws0524 wants to know, is Ronda for sure coming back? I wouldn't say 100%. I mean, nothing is 100%. But I would say the odds are fairly good. Like, I don't see any reason for her to not come back. There's money on the table, you know. This is a business after all, and Ronda is a fan. You got Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch, the singles match you can still do. You could do another Ronda versus Charlotte match. You could potentially do Ronda versus any number of stars like Ember Moon, or even, as somebody else pointed out, maybe her and Shayna Baszler have a falling out and they have a match at some point. You could do Asuka, although Asuka, there's another person that's just like totally lost in the shuffle now. If WWE was going to release somebody, I mean, if she's not happy, I don't know what's going on with her either. I mean, there's been speculation about her. She would be another one. If WWE is not going to do anything with her, then why keep her there and not utilize her? But of course, the thing is with AEW is that WWE wants to keep these guys under contract and keep these talents away from AEW. So it just really sucks for a lot of these wrestlers that want to do something, but they're stuck in limbo because they're under contract. WWE doesn't want to release them, but at the same time, the roster is overcrowded and there's no spot for them, so they're pretty much just stuck. They're stuck collecting a paycheck, and for some, that's cool, but for a lot of these people, you know, they're very driven. They want to succeed. They want to do something with their careers. They're very passionate about what they do, and you know, it just sucks for them. All right, we got a call here from SP James. Hey, Steve-O, how's it going?
Hey, good morning, Aaron, everyone. How are you all doing?
I'm doing well. Let me turn up your volume here. So what's on your mind?
Hey, so I don't know if you talked about Mansoor earlier. What's your thoughts of him winning the Battle Royal yesterday? And do you think they might try to make him a future star in the WWE?
I did touch upon it a little bit last night. Like, first of all, I really don't have any strong feelings about the Battle Royal. I was pretty much indifferent to it. I did post on NoDQ the report from the Twitter account WrestleVotes that reported that he was going to win the Battle Royal. So I kind of went in thinking that was going to happen. I'm like, whatever. again, I think it was good for Saudi Arabia. Like the fans went crazy for that. WWE's putting on a show to satisfy them, and they're the ones paying the big paycheck to WWE. So it is what it is. As far as like his potential, I think that he might have potential. I haven't seen enough of him to really make a good opinion on that, but I have this feeling like he's not going to be used. Like he may show up on the main roster for one show and then disappear, and then we'll never hear from him again, perhaps until the next Saudi Arabia show. But I wouldn't mind. I know some people thought this is a bad idea because it's just throwing the ethnic groups into a tag team. But like Ali and Mansoor being a tag team might be an interesting team. But then people were like, well, you're just throwing the Middle Eastern guys into a tag team and then that sort of thing. But I think that would be an interesting team. They seem to mesh well, during that brief period that we saw them together on the pay-per-view. But yeah, what are your thoughts on him?
Well, I think it's cool they are trying to make somebody in Saudi Arabia, a winner, maybe give him the rub, because you have legends like Goldberg and Undertaker stinking up the joint. Obviously they're big money, but maybe they could make him a bigger star for their I don't know if he'll be a world champion ever, but if they take their time with him, maybe he could be a big star to Saudi and maybe a big star across the world if they try hard enough.
Yeah, it just depends if WWE actually feels motivated to push him. But it could also end up like a Jinder Mahal type push where they push him and then they just give up on him right away. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath that he's going to get any kind of long-term push. Cindy points out that he's only 19 years old. So, that could work in his favor. He's got time to grow as a performer, and maybe he'll be able to become a big star down the line. Maybe not right away, but we'll see. Look at Velveteen Dream. He's what, 23, 24 years old, and he's on fire right now. So yeah, the guy definitely has age working for him.
Absolutely, yeah. As long as they don't do the Jinder Mahal thing, giving him the world title right away, then I think they have a chance of making him something big. But if they hotshot it, it's going to be pretty ugly.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, thank you so much for the call. Anything you would like to plug or promote?
If you all like wrestling cosplay, check out Too Sweet Cosplay on all social media, or simply just put in www.toosweetcosplay.com. Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, and tell son I said hi.
Definitely. Take care, man.
All right, have a great one. Talk to you soon. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you for that call. And again, you guys can call in on Skype, nodqrift@gmail.com. And you can send in super chat questions. You can send in questions on Twitter. If you have anything you would like to discuss regarding Super Showdown or anything else going on in the world of wrestling. Ryan said, great call. Yeah, Steve's a great guy. Steve-O, we call him. Make sure you guys follow his Too Sweet Cosplay page. I met him in Chicago. Really nice guy. Him and Sun Goshiku. Not sure if I pronounced it correctly. But they've done stuff, collaborations. So yeah, good guys out there in Chi-Town. And DJ Witty with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, DJ. He says, what's up, Aaron? Who do you think is next to have a tell-all podcast about WWE after their contract runs out and go to AEW? Sasha Banks got to be the front of the line. Oh, yeah, for sure. Sasha's would be really interesting. I think there are a lot of people in WWE that would have some interesting podcasts. How about Rusev? I want to hear from Rusev. I think the day he leaves WWE, he's going to have a really interesting podcast. Him and Lana, because we all know Lana's already pretty vocal as it is, despite being under contract to the company. Rusev and Lana, I think, would be a really interesting one, considering how over Rusev was getting with the Rusev Day, and then WWE just didn't follow up on it and didn't really do anything with him. Yeah, he would be a great choice. I agree with Rusev Day for sure. I like what Brittany said. Strowman. Braun Strowman would be an interesting one just because I kind of feel the Ryback effect from Strowman, where Ryback got this huge push. Ryback could have been a major superstar, but then WWE just pretty much gave up on him, and they booked that Hell in a Cell match with CM Punk, and it hurt his momentum. And with Strowman was right there on the cusp of being the guy, and look what happened to him. And yeah, Strowman's getting paid, but the thing is, Strowman, he could have been the number one guy in the company, and there has to be some frustration there. And I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. LLYAS says, my first time here. Hi, Aaron. How's it going? Thank you so much for tuning in. And another person I cannot pronounce your name, EJAI Cook, says, have you seen Ryback's interview with Chris Van Fleet? I did see it, and it's a great interview, and people seem to be really down on Ryback, but I think the guy's very well-spoken, intelligent human being, and I feel for the guy. Like, he could have been world champion in WWE. He was right there, so close to being at the top, and WWE just ruined his momentum and pretty much made him a joke. When people took him seriously, like Ryback, when he came out there, he was destroying those guys. The crowd was going crazy for him. Like, he had some real momentum. Zack Ryder's an interesting one. He's got to be frustrated, but at the same time, I get the vibe from Ryder, like he's such a loyal fan to WWE that he's just happy he has a job there, period, and he wants to be a team player. But I'm definitely interested in Zack Ryder's thoughts and, what's going through his mind through this whole period when he came so close to being a top star but never really reached that next level. And yeah, I don't understand, like they obviously pushed Ryback, but they didn't make him champion. Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is a really interesting one too, that just to hear his tell all the stories he has from working with everybody. Yeah, I agree on Ziggler. Ziggler's definitely a really solid choice as far as like interesting post WWE interviews to see what they thought about their run with the company. And Undertaker's another guy too. Like, obviously Undertaker's had so many positive experiences with WWE, but man, like, if Undertaker did the tell-all, shoot interview, talked about everything, gave his honest opinions on all the big angles over the years. Like, he's done a couple really good interviews, but we haven't heard like that tell-all, like him just venting about the good and bad of WWE. All right, let's see here. Again, if anybody would like to call in with their thoughts, anything regarding Super Showdown, NoDQRift@gmail.com. I have Skype open now if anybody would like to call in. And you can also send in questions via Super Chat, or you can send in questions via twitter.com/AaronRift. Use the hashtag PAIV or use the hashtag NoDQVideo. Yes, I agree with Curtis Butler. Kayfabe Candy asks, we got to hear from you. We got to hear your thoughts on Super Showdown or just anything. We haven't heard from the KCA in a while, so I would love that. But he's like, maybe tomorrow. I don't think I'm doing a live video tomorrow, but it would be awesome. Like, we got to get some motivation for Kayfabe to call in. I'm gonna do a plug here real quick. NoDQ.com/shirts. You can pick up a NoDQ.com t-shirt if you would like to support the site, support the personalities at NoDQ.com. There should be another sale coming up for 4th of July, so if you're a little strapped for cash right now, you can wait until 4th of July weekend. They always have the big 20% off sale. I'm hoping to have a few new shirts up there. I've been telling Noah Foster, the Simple Man, that I would get a shirt up for him. So yeah, I'm looking to maybe get in two or three more shirts up on the site in time for the 4th of July sale. So head over there, NoDQ.com/shirts. And of course, follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/NoDQ.DOTCOM. That's for all the wrestling news. And you can also follow my personal account. And Cesaro was another one that Aaron Anderson brought up. Cesaro would be a really good one too, because he's had so many opportunities. And of course, Vince's comment, Vince McMahon talking about how Cesaro just is missing something and doesn't have like the personality or whatever. I forgot what Vince said exactly. But yeah, like Cesaro getting the start and stop pushes all the time. I think his would definitely be interesting. And even Daniel Bryan would be really interesting once he's done with the company. He's been part of WWE for all these years, but just to have him express the ups and downs of his career would be another really interesting tell-all interview for sure. James Allen says, Bobby Lashley would be interesting to hear about since they dropped the ball on him so much. Yeah, maybe. I mean, Bobby Lashley would be another guy. Oh, how about EC3? EC3 would be a good one, but he hasn't really been there for that long, so I'm not sure like how many interesting stories he would have. I'm trying to think about somebody who's been there for a while, that's had the ups and downs, had the start and stop pushes. Dean Ambrose was a top guy, but definitely had his up and down moments with the company where he was getting pushed for a while, then he was misused, and it kept going back and forth. Brittany says Bayley's another one. I agree on Bayley. I think Bayley's definitely an interesting choice there. And W Glass 90 says, I'm surprised EC3 hasn't asked for his release yet. Bray Wyatt is a good one. Alexa Bliss is a good one. How about the Revival? We've been talking about the Revival, asking for their releases. Revival would be another interesting tell-all shoot interview for sure. I think The Miz has had a really solid career, and I don't see The Miz as a guy who's going to vent his frustrations. He's had a great run in WWE and hasn't really been booked very poorly. Like, for the most part, Miz has always been a focal point, and even when he's not been the focal point, he hasn't been buried. Luke Harper is a good one. I definitely like that one too. All right, guys, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this special edition of NoDQ&A Live. Hopefully, I'll be back in a week or so with another video. I'll take more of your calls. Again, you can send in questions, twitter.com/AaronRift.